Well, as many of you know by now, for those who don't know, sadly, Z Nation has been canceled. But right now, I want to take the opportunity to look back at the series, what went right and what went wrong. I mean, what went right, pardon me, and what went wrong, is what I meant to say. So let's get right to it. Well, I think what really hurt the series at first, like was going into season one, is it was kind of a rough start. I found that the direction was kind of, all over the place. The storytelling was kind of shoddy. I mean, we were introduced to the characters, but we weren't given the appropriate backstory, I thought, you know. And I think it might have been a bit of a turnoff. And then, when you consider I mean, the advertising wasn't very good. And then when for a lot of the internet movie fans, when you look in who was behind it, that being Sci-Fi and Asylum. Sci-Fi is notoriously low budget, so is Asylum. Asylum intentionally makes intentional bad films, and believe it or not, they're profitable. So I think that might have been, for me, that was kind of a turn off at first because I didn't get into it till season two. So, but I think the problem was it was kind of all over the place. Like we really, I mean, the special effects were good, sure, for what they were. I thought, but the only two characters that really stuck out to me were Addie and Murph, and I mean, Addie, Hammond, and what was it? And Doc. They were the only ones that really kind of stuck out. I mean, I remember seeing some pictures of the show, hearing about it now and then, but that was really about it before I started watching it. So, I mean, for me, after season one, I just kind of saw it as a time killer. I mean, it did have its moments in between, but I kind of wasn't sure if I really wanted to go on with season two, but thankfully I did. And I gotta say, talk about a makeover. This is where the series really improved, I thought, as far as direction, storytelling, character development, especially, which was needed for this, I think, to go forward. We got the backstory we needed for a lot of the leads, especially. We also got just a better pacing, better direction, and we also got some new additions. I mean, Emilio Rivera from Sons of Anarchy, who was Hector. I thought he was a nice addition. It was great to see him on. I was like, yes, they got him on this series. And it made for more interesting storylines, especially with him and Vasquez, the history they had, with him killing Vasquez's family. And I really thought he was just going to be sort of temporary, which he was. I mean, he didn't last. I mean, he was on season three, but I just thought he was going to be a temporary villain for the series, you know. But thankfully, that wasn't the case. I mean, now granted, ideally, I think he was beyond forgiveness at that point. I mean, he killed a man's family. I mean, but that's just my opinion going forward. We also got some good storylines, you know, and more relationships. I mean, I like the relationship with Cassandra and Murphy. We also got to learn more about Murphy. I mean, the first season he wasn't very interesting, but here I found he was a lot more interesting as we got to know him, and we also got to see more comedic elements, which was nice. I mean, granted, because he wasn't very likable in the first season. I mean, it wasn't until season two that we got to spend more time with him. That's when he actually sort of became a favorite of mine in the series going forward, next to Doc and Addie. So then we had Addie and Mac's relationship, which came to a tragic end, and that definitely threw me off. I didn't see that coming at all. I thought they would have kept Mac on maybe a little bit longer, but sadly that wasn't the case. And then we got the amazing cliffhanger ending. Was 10K alive? Was he dead? What was Murphy's fate? Which we all knew. I knew 10K wasn't dead, but just saying. So going on from there, I thought this was much improved. This was a much better season than the first season. In Now, granted, like I didn't, like I said, I didn't get into it till season two when I bought the DVDs for cheap, at my local store you know. So going into season 3, I was kind of excited, you know, going into it, and season 3, I thought they really hit it out of the park with only one major setback, and this would become problematic for the rest of the series. Javier Vasquez, the character was absent because Matt Cedeno was cast for another show at the time and was busy filming, and this would become problematic for the series later on. This would really, it takes more than one straw to break a camel's back, okay? But this would become problematic with the series later on because the network not being able to pay their actors or not having their actors committed to the program. That was I think where a lot of the problems began. So we had the amazing war scene in the first and second episode of the series. We got introduction to the man and Red, who made for an interesting character, and 5K as well. Addie got the new Z-Whacker. We also got introduced to Sun Mei and her new weapon, which I thought was really cool, the zombie laser, bomb, trap that she had. And then we had Murphy's heel turn, which I thought worked very well. At first I thought they were going to kill Murphy off, but thankfully that didn't happen because they realized they kind of needed Murphy. It was kind of a necessity. Even though I found myself hating Murphy at the time, because I seriously thought, oh my god, Murphy's going to die, he's going to die. But thankfully they kept him on. Murphy, really took off as a character, I thought. He went from being unlikable to being, it's funny, you liked him, you didn't like him in season 1. You kind of liked him in season 2, but season 3, I found myself hating him, But thankfully Murphy comes to his senses. He rejoined the group towards the end. But leading up to that as well, you had some pretty funny moments. You had the election spoof. I thought the Donald Trump guy was really funny. But sadly, we saw the end of Vasquez. We also saw the end of Hector, because Vasquez was pretty much done with the show at that point. Because, they pretty much had to kill him off, which, I don't know. I just wish that Sci-Fi could have done a better job at keeping their talent committed to the program. Because, you figured they would have done something about this, especially going into season 4. More on that later. Then we got that amazing finale. That was just, with Red and 5K returning, 10 guy dying and coming back. Even though I knew he was going to come back, it was just that what if factor that was playing in all our minds at the time. It was just like, oh my god, are they going to kill him, or is he going to live, is he going to die? But thankfully that wasn't the case. And when he came back, I think, I remember letting a fresh breath air. It was just taking a breath going, yes. Because he was actually one of my favorites. He was probably one of the more interesting and fun characters on the show. Then we had Addie and the man, falling off the cliff. We don't know what was going to happen to them. We also had, the amazing ending with, Murphy finding out that Murphy was dead the whole time, which I didn't know he was dead. I figured he was infected, but I didn't think he was dead. And when that came to be, that was pretty surprising. I didn't, that threw me off completely, And then with the bullet going through Murphy and then infecting Roberta, and then Zona's ship, which, look, I knew they weren't going to die then and there. That would be just, you don't want to, I knew that, but it was just, but it was just not knowing what was going to happen. I think that's what, it just, the unpredictability element is what worked for season 3. And, you have to understand, season 3 was airing at the same time, around the time of, Fear the Walking Dead season 2. And Fear the Walking Dead season 2 stunk up the joint. And as many of you know, The Walking Dead season 7 royally stunk up the joint. I don't care what anyone says. That was a terrible season. I really thought that this show, Z Nation, was here to stay at this point. I thought this was going to be the show to watch. I remember being really excited for season 4, but sadly, Season 4 did not deliver for many reasons. One, poor advertising, poor marketing from yours truly, Sci-Fi. Leave it to Sci-Fi to fuck up a good thing. But, okay. More on that later. So we get to Season 4, and almost everything that could go wrong did. I mean, first it was the 2-year time jump that really hurt the show's momentum, I thought. And then, you know, obviously Addie, Anastasia Baranova, the actress, was cast for another program. She was only there for the first, I think, second episode. Because she was cast for a program called Sin, which is an Amazon Prime series. And from what I hear, that show didn't work well. So I think the absence of Addie and just really hurt the series, because she was a favorite of mine. And I think that probably a favorite of a lot of people going forward. Sure, we got introduced to Sarge and, you know, the Henry Rollins character. Even though Sarge is more of a, you know, she was definitely a fill-in for Addie, but it wasn't the same, you know. I like the new Z's, the Mad Z's. Although I was kind of sad they killed off Henry Rollins. You know, they could have kept him a little bit longer, I thought, but, you know, that's here nor there, you know. Then we got tragic moments like Lucy's death, and then, you know, we also got another really tragic moment with Dr. Teller and his son. You know, when they had to unplug his son in the when he was in suspended animation, you know. I thought that was a very powerful and sad scene overall. And then we got more comedic storylines, like the Team Canada spoof. I thought that was really funny. Being Canadian myself, I had to, trust me, I got a kick out of that, believe me. I was not offended. I thought it was funny. The Juggalo spoof was kind of funny, but I don't know. I don't know if we really needed that, to be honest with you. I like the relationship aspect with Citizen Z, Kai, and Jay-Z. I thought there. And then we got a relatively good finale. You know, not as good as Season 3's finale, but close enough. It was kind of predictable. Look, we all knew Warren wasn't going to die, okay? But the build-up to it was pretty good. You know, Warren's visions of, you know, I thought that worked out well. And being reunited with Murphy getting the new red face looking like the devil, I thought that was pretty cool. But all in all, at the end of the day, in my opinion, you know, Season 4 was just not very good. And I knew that, you know, at this point the series was on life support and it didn't have a lot of time left, so we go to Season 5. Now, even though this was an improved season, it wasn't much better. I mean, the issues I had, even though it was a better season, the damage was done. And going back to not having their actors committed, Ramona Young, the actress who played Kaya, was cast for Legends of Tomorrow. So that really, you know, I think, even though she wasn't really on the series as much, it just, you know, it's just another sci-fi fuck-up. I mean, you figured they would have at least got him to sign a contract or some kind of a waiver saying so that no matter what, you can't leave. I mean, that's what they could have done, or done something like that, you know, but they didn't. But, you know, and then, you know, I didn't like the fact that, you know, I liked the talkers idea, but this just goes back to, you know, kind of, you know, inserting their politics, inserting their, you know, becoming political, and I just don't like it when shows do this, you know. I think they need to, you know, look, we watch TV and film to entertain ourselves, to distract ourselves. We don't want to, you know, we don't want to hear about what, you know, your political opinion or affiliation. That's just, I didn't like that either. You know, I thought that was really just unnecessary, and it just didn't really add anything to the story. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being political, only if it's done right. I mean, George A. Romero's films were political, but they were done right. I mean, they fit the times. But here, that's the only thing I didn't like about it. And then there was just, you know, like, there were other, you know, granted, I mean, we saw some positives. I mean, like, you know, like, Addie's return was really cool. I remember fist pumping. I was like, yes! Being excited for that. We also got introduced to Cooper, you know, Mary Van Peebles' character, which I kind of thought it would be nice to see more of him. I mean, he only got to do, what, 2 or 3 episodes with him. it was great to see Mario Van Peebles back. I mean, the guy was a good actor. He just made it well. You know, he's pretty popular in the '80s and '90s, but unfortunately, he made a lot of bad choices, and he kind of shot himself in the foot in the process. You know. Then we got to see Katie O'Brien from Walking Dead, played, you know, who was George. She went from one zombie apocalypse to another. Go figure. But sadly, we also saw the end of Sun May, which was, you know, but thankfully it wasn't in vain. And we got you introduced to Pandora and her partner, which was an amazing, and Pandora was an amazing villain, I thought, you know, for the series. I think one of the best villains on the series next to the Man. But then at the end and the season finale, which was a good finale, not a great finale. I think they wrapped up everything the best that they could, especially the end when half her face came off. I thought that was amazing. Although the whole thing with Warren being dead, I mean, we all kind of knew that beforehand. That was a little predictable, I thought. But all in all, I thought they did the best they could with what they had. I thought they ended it the best way they could, even though they kind of left something open at the end with Murphy kind of going heel again. But it was nice to see, you know, to get a good ending when some closure to the series. So wasn't the one we wanted, but I think it was the one, you know, we needed. So what went wrong? Well, going back to, you know, like I said, it was the bad marketing, you know, the lack of investment that really hurt the series a lot. I think that, you know, Sci-Fi being the mismanaged network and organization that they are, it amazes me that they're still in business, to be honest with you. I don't know if I really see them being in business much longer with, you know, because this could have been so much more than what it was. I mean, they could have had their own Walking Dead here, but, you know, I think we could have got at least maybe one more season out of it, but sadly we won't. And this is just another typical Sci-Fi fuck up. I mean, they fucked up with Blood Drive. That could have been such a good series, but no, one season gone. 12 Monkeys. That could have been, you know, so much more. But again, this is the problem with Sci-Fi. They take good ideas and they ruin them. And this is just another prime example of that. So, but all I can say, we had a good 5 years out of it. It was fun while it lasted. I'll definitely revisit it now and then, but this fall coming up in 2019, it's just not going to be the same. Even though we have a prequel series, it's just, I don't think it'll be as good. So let me know what your thoughts are. I didn't want to go too much into everything, because otherwise I'll be here all day. You know, so if you have any, you know, just leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts. You know, what was your favorite part of the show? What was your least favorite part of the series? And where, you know, but right now, as for now, where do I see? Well, I think the older cast, you know, like, you know, Russell Hogginston, the one who played Doc, Keith Allen, who played Murphy, and the actors who played Warren. I could see them, you know, just sticking on with Sci-Fi, maybe doing another show with Sci-Fi, or, you know, doing some more work for Asylum, because they have had long-standing partnerships with Asylum, so maybe they'll get something else somewhere, but I kind of see them just being side roles now. As for a lot of the younger talent, like a 10K, you know, Nat Zhang, who plays 10K, Anastasia Baranova, who played Addie, and Natalie Jorgenlarp, who played, you know, Red. I can see them, you know, being on a medium-sized or high-end network TV show. That's where I can see them going. They're young, they're attractive, so I think they got a bright future for all three of them. I see, at least that's what I see so far, but who knows really at this point. As for some of the other cast, like, you know, Katie O'Brien, I could probably see her being on something else, you know, like probably doing a side role. But all in all, like I said, you know, I'm sad to see the series go. I'm sad to, you know, I'm sad that, you know, we're because keep in mind that, you know, I don't watch Walking Dead anymore. I stopped watching, Walking Dead a few years back. I don't watch Fear the Walking Dead anymore. And I think we are approaching the last days of zombie television, unless someone else comes up with something new and different and exciting. So, till then, let me know what your thoughts are, and take care.